I am Koya Azarpai, princess of the Inca, queen consort of the mighty Tahuantinsuyo, warrior of the sun god Inti, and defender of the ancient ways. My tale is one of glory and tragedy, of unyielding spirit in the face of devastation. Listen well, for in my words, you will hear the beating heart of an empire that refused to die. I was born in the sacred city of Cusco, cradled in gold and wrapped in the finest vicuña wool. From my first breath, I was destined for greatness, marked by Inti himself, to be more than just a silent consort. As a child, while other girls learned to weave and serve, I was drawn to the clash of weapons, the shouts of warriors training in the courtyards. I watched, I learned, and I dreamed of the day when I too would stand among them. The elders tried to tame my spirit. A future Koya has no need for the ways of war, they would say. But the blood of conquerors ran through my veins. I could feel it in my bones, in the very air I breathed. Change was coming, and I would be ready. In secret, I trained. My hands, once soft from a life of luxury, grew calloused from gripping weapons. My body, previously adorned only with fine textiles and gold, became a weapon itself. And all the while, I listened to the whispers of traders, to the reports of runners from the coast. Strange men had arrived on great floating houses with skin pale as the moon and terrible weapons that spit fire and death. I tried to warn them, the nobles, the priests, even my husband, the great Huascar Inca. But they were blind to the threat, too caught up in their own petty rivalries and power struggles. Huascar was embroiled in a bitter civil war with his half-brother Atahualpa, and I could see that our empire was fracturing at its very core. And so I prepared. I gathered those who would listen, women like myself who refused to be mere ornaments, men who saw beyond the rigid structures of our society. We trained, we planned, we waited. Then the world caught fire. The invaders, these Wiracocha, which we called the white gods or bearded gods in Quechua, for their pale skin and bearded faces seemed like a mockery of our own gods, swept through our lands like a plague. Villages fell, great cities were reduced to ash, and still our leaders bickered among themselves. I watched in horror as my husband, locked in his war with Atahualpa, ignored the true threat knocking at our very doors. It was then that I made a decision that would forever change the course of my life. If the men who were supposed to protect us would not act, then I would. I donned the armor of a warrior, gathered my loyal followers, and marched to meet the invaders. Oh, how they laughed when they first saw us. A woman leading an army? But their laughter soon turned to screams as we fell upon them like the wrath of Illapa, the thunder god. We struck from the shadows, using our knowledge of the land to our advantage. For every village they burned, we destroyed their supply lines. For every Inca they killed, we sent 10 of their soldiers to Uku Pacha, the underworld. But even as we fought, a creeping dread began to fill my heart. These invaders brought more than just steel and gunpowder. They carried invisible demons in their breath, sicknesses that laid waste to entire communities. I watched helplessly as my people, mighty warriors and innocent children alike, withered and died from enemies we couldn't even see. And then came the darkest day. Atahualpa, victorious in the Civil War, met with the Spanish leader Pizarro. I was there, disguised as a simple servant when the trap was sprung. In a single moment, the mighty Sapa Inca was captured, our empire's heart ripped out in an instant. I fled back to my forces, my mind reeling. How could this have happened? How could the living son of Inti be brought low by these pale demons? But I knew I couldn't falter. Not now. Not when my people needed me more than ever. We fought on, but each day brought new horrors. I saw children torn from their mothers' arms, great temples desecrated, centuries of knowledge put to the torch. The Spanish were not content with merely conquering our lands. They sought to erase us, to destroy everything we were. In the midst of the chaos, I led our armies against the encroaching invaders. We rallied our forces, shouting the names of our ancestors, invoking the strength of our gods. The battlefield became a storm of courage and despair as we faced the enemy. They called us savages, but we were defenders of a civilization that had flourished for centuries. The battles were fierce and relentless. I remember the smell of sweat and fear mingling in the air, the sound of our war cries rising to the heavens. I rode at the forefront, my heart pounding like the drums of war, my sword glinting in the sunlight. We fought with every ounce of strength, every prayer to the gods, believing that the spirit of Inti guided our blows. Yet, as the tide of battle turned against us, a sense of hopelessness settled in. The invaders had a darkness within them, a hunger for gold and power that I had never witnessed before. And then, the day I had long feared finally came. Betrayed by one of my own, seduced by Spanish gold and false promises, I was captured. They brought me before Pizarro himself, his eyes gleaming with a mix of greed and something else. Respect, perhaps? Or fear? I learned later that the Spanish treasurer Navarro had asked for permission to force me to be his wife. The very thought of it made my blood boil with rage. I managed to escape to Carajima, but my freedom was short-lived. Recaptured, I was brought to the house of Fernando Pizarro in Lima. It was there that I heard the Inca forces had besieged the city. Fernando Pizarro, in his paranoia, believed I had orchestrated the attack. Little did he know that even in captivity, the spirit of resistance I had ignited continued to burn in the hearts of my people. What followed were days of darkness and pain. They demanded I renounce my gods, that I submit to their foreign deity. They promised me life, comfort, power. If only I would betray everything I had fought for, with every lash of the whip, with every burn of the hot iron, I remained silent. They could break my body, but my spirit? Never. I thought of my people, of the children who would grow up never knowing the glory of Tahuantinsuyo. And in those moments of agony, I made a vow. Though they might kill me, they would never truly conquer us. On the day of my execution, I walked with my head held high. As Francisco Pizarro gave the order for my death by garroting, I felt no fear. Instead, I began to sing. An ancient song, a prayer to Inti, asking him to watch over our people in the dark days to come. As the life was choked from my body, I had a vision. I saw our people rising up, reclaiming their heritage, standing proud once more. I saw the wisdom of our ancestors being rediscovered, our connection to Pachamama renewed. And I knew, in that moment, that though I might die, our spirit would live on. Now, I speak to you from across the centuries. I, who was a warrior, a leader, a defender of our people. I, who stood against the tide when others faltered. I, who gave everything for the land and the people I loved. Remember me, remember us, and in remembering, find the strength to stand tall once more. For as long as one heart beats with the rhythm of our ancient songs, as long as one voice speaks our sacred tongue, we are not truly conquered. We are the Inca, children of the sun, and our spirit is eternal. The fire that burned within me now burns in you. Keep it alive. Fan it into a blaze that will light up the world. The future I glimpsed in my final moments is in your hands now. Make it one worthy of the sacrifices we made. I, Coya Azarpe, Princess of the Inca, Queen of the Tahuantinsuyo, Warrior of Inti, and eternal defender of our people, swear by the sacred mountains and the life-giving sun that I fought with every breath to preserve our way of life, our beliefs, and our freedom. Though my body may have fallen, my spirit marches on with every one of you who remembers our legacy. Rise, children of the sun. The battle for our soul is not over. Though our empire may have been reduced to ashes, our unyielding spirit will continue to burn, a flame that will flicker to life with every step that treads upon the sacred soil of our ancestors, a testament to the indomitable will of a people who refuse to be subjugated.